Welcome back to All Ball Podcast, where it's all ball all the time. You are here with your host, Sean and Isaiah, as always. This is episode number 24, and today we're going to be talking about the Rockets' win against the Spurs, the Bucks beating the Warriors, how the Hornets are heating up, and also how trade talks are heating up. But before all that, Isaiah, how you doing today, man?
Man, I'm feeling great. We're in my favorite part of the season. This feels like the real meat of the season to me every year. When we start getting close to the All-Star break, so it's a whole bunch of trade talks, a whole bunch of All-Star debates, who's going to make it, who's going to get snubbed, who deserves to start versus being reserved. And then also there's a lot of exciting games that happen around this time, especially usually the MLK Day games, which I believe are a finals rematch most of the time. So yeah, this is my personal favorite part of the season besides, well, the playoffs.
Yeah, it's my favorite part of the season too, just because, I don't know, when I play like 2K, I'm always wanted to pull off like the most craziest trades. So seeing what actually happens in real life, I don't know, that kind of excites me too. But also, yeah, the end of the season too, the playoffs are also one of my favorite parts of the season. But let's go ahead and jump into our first topic, which is our Houston Rockets beating the Spurs. The final score was let me see, 128, 124. Eric Gordon dropped 31. DeJounte Murray dropped 32. What were your thoughts on that game?
For one, I just want to point out that I was very terrified because when I first tuned in to this game, Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. were both playing terrible. So at that point, I didn't even really want to watch the game. I was like, all right, yeah, this is another lost hope. Our two main guards are just playing like garbage. And then next thing I know, I get a notification saying that we beat the Spurs. And I was completely taken aback. And it was all thanks to the efforts of Eric Gordon, somebody who has been the recipient of a lot of negative and positive talk on this podcast.
Yeah, I think Eric Gordon has been quietly one of the most, I guess you could call him a pillar of our team at the moment, because in a lot of games he's put up really good numbers, but probably doesn't, receive the notoriety or attention that Jalen Green does because he's a rookie or whatever, or KPJ does. But he's been solid all year long, and he's probably the best I've seen him since we were in 2018. Right? Yeah, that was the year that we almost went to the finals. Because what I saw him do this game, especially taking people off the dribble how he was and finishing how he was, I think his trade value is probably as high as it ever will be.
Yeah, and it's funny that you brought up his trade value, because what I was thinking is that, honestly, if he was playing like this on any team that's in the play-in or higher, he would be in all-star talks right now. But simply because he's on the Rockets and we're not really a good team, like this great play that he seems to have somewhat consistently is just overshadowed and not talked about by the majority of NBA fans or even NBA media.
Yeah, he's averaging 15 points. I'm round up 14.8. So 15 points, 3.5 assists, and then 2 rebounds. That, like, the assist and rebounds might not be crazy or whatever, but his efficiency, he's shooting 500 on the year. Yeah, and then from three, he's shooting 45%. He's averaging career highs and efficiency. And, I was giving him a really hard time especially during the bubble. I don't remember. I don't know if you remember. I think we played Warzone one time together, and my name was Bench Eric Gordon.
Oh.
I don't know if you remember that, but that was when I had the worst. Like I don't want to call it hate because I never hated Eric Gordon.
Yeah, just you were really annoyed with how he was playing.
Yeah, because he was just chunking up a lot of threes and missing everything. But if we would have had this guy in the bubble, I mean, we might get past the Lakers. I don't know, but um, but yeah, I mean, he's playing really great this year, and as much as I wish that we could keep him around, when our time comes for a championship.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's
he's
not.
not on the timeline for
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
it just doesn't mix. Um, but what contender would you like to see him go to if we do pull the trigger on a trade this year for him?
Really, if I have to put my bias aside for who I would like to see him on versus where I think he would be the best fit,
Mm-hmm.
even though I don't really see a trade likely happening with some of these teams, I think he'd probably fit, funny enough, on the Nets
Mm-hmm.
because, just solid defense and then an extra ball handler when they need it, since who knows when Kyrie will actually be a full-time player. And
Yeah.
then even with KD having to sit out some games, just that shooting and that off the dribble ability here and there, that will really be useful for them. I think he could even fit well on the 76ers.
Do you think he wants to play with Harden again? Like, do you think he'd want to?
I mean, he definitely had a very good career playing with Harden, so I don't see why he'd have a problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it would be preferable to what he's doing now, dropping 30 balls on a losing team.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I was gonna say the 76ers too, just because of the situation with Ben.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I kind of think he would be good on Utah.
Yeah, I think he'd be good there too.
But I mean, I don't know who we would have to get back. I think it'd have to be Bogdanovich. I think that's the person who might have the closest contract, but I'm not sure. I think Utah and the 76ers are probably his
Mm-hmm.
two best destinations to go.
Really, I think he would even fit in Dallas.
Dallas would be good too because he could play. He's a little bigger than Jalen Brunson,
Mm-hmm.
who's good, but who probably should be coming off the bench. So him and Luka together, wouldn't be bad. But it would kind of force Tim Hardaway Jr. to stay at the 3, and Tim Hardaway Jr. is not the best defender.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'd be a good spot too, but it would just, I don't know. I think there'd be some problems there with that.
Yeah. Honestly, when I really look at it, he could fit pretty well on a lot of the Western teams, even the ones who aren't necessarily contenders due to injury. But
Mm-hmm.
if the Nuggets were healthy, I think he'd be good there. If the Lakers, really, the Lakers need him regardless of their health situation. They need somebody. They need
Yeah,
anybody they can get at this point.
I've
And
seen
then
a
if the
lot of
Clippers were healthy, he could be good there too.
I've seen a lot of mock trades from Lakers fans because their contracts match up, saying Eric Gordon for THT.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, you'd probably have to throw in if I were the GM of the Rockets, you'd have to throw in 2 first-round picks because
Really? I don't even know if Lakers first round picks would be worth that. It's still, that's questionable.
yeah, I mean they wouldn't be high by any means, but I mean THT. getting 2 first-round picks is better than THT at this point, I think.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Um,
Especially when you consider that the only time where he really looks good is when he has the ball in his hands. And I don't know about you, but I'm not putting the ball in his hands over the development of KPJ or Jalen Green. That's just not happening.
no, because as a franchise, our primary goal should be developing Jalen Green right now, and
Mm-hmm.
along with Shingun, KPJ, and all those guys, and
Mm-hmm.
seeing what our future is with Christian Wood.
Yeah, we have too many people who already need to showcase what they can do and develop what they can do further. We
Mm-hmm.
don't need we do not need THT coming in here taking more touches away.
No. But was there anything else you wanted to talk about, like Rockets wise?
For the team as a whole, no. But as for that specific game, I just want to say that we have a specific Spurs fan that
Oh yeah.
watches, and I hope he enjoyed that game. And I'll leave that at that.
Yeah, talking about my stepdad Hugo. So this is this. Hey, thanks for listening. um, yeah, he was a little upset after they lost. I was rubbing it in his face, and he didn't want to hear it, but I made him
Hey,
hear it anyways.
it's only the right thing to do after how many times we had to suffer at the hands of the Spurs.
Yeah, that's true because back in like the 15, like around 15, 16 years, when both teams were still kind of competitive,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd lose, I would hear it for like till the next morning.
Yeah,
So,
don't even get me started on the playoff series, oh brother.
oh yes, when Harden got blocked by Ginobili.
That is such a funny thing to think of. Like, when you really think about it, Manu was in his 30s and still blocked James Harden. Oh, that's funny. On a
Oh,
jump shot at that.
I think that's probably one of the most, like, the times that I've ever been most mad at kid basketball because of how the whole series had went, how James was playing.
Oh yeah.
Because he wasn't playing well that series, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I distinctly remember. I think he was good in the beginning, but I remember for sure that as we got to those later closeout games that the Spurs eventually took,
Mhm.
yeah, he was just not in it. Like it looked like he wasn't playing for real.
Yeah, because I think it went Rockets, Spurs, Rockets, and then Spurs the next three.
Mm-hmm.
And those last 3 games, he was awful. It was tough to watch, and then just seeing him get blocked was like
It was,
the
yeah, it
top.
was the icing on the
Yeah.
metaphorically terrible cake.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Had me sad for about 3 days. Um, but are you ready to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, we can move.
All right, well, let's go ahead and talk about a contender now in the Bucks after they beat the Warriors. The final score was, let me pull it up,
I have
99
it.
to
Yeah.
118.
Now, that final score really doesn't even tell the full story because that's about a 20-point win,
Mhm.
just about. Yeah. Whereas the score going into halftime was 77-38.
Mhm.
And that is a more clear indicator of how that game really went until I want to say it was either early in the fourth or late in the third, where they just kind of gave up and took out the big guys on both teams and just kind of let them do whatever.
Mhm.
Because oh boy,
Mhm.
yeah, the Bucks they did not come to play that game. They took this potential finals matchup very seriously, And it was something that I personally enjoyed. I would have also enjoyed if the Warriors just weren't terrible this game, but it was still an entertaining game nonetheless for the first half, and then it was just kind of embarrassing. But man, there are two main takeaways that I have for this game. My first takeaway is that Giannis really loves to prove that he is the best player in the league. If you could actually have seen the shots that he was hitting in this game, it almost felt like I was watching a different player. There was about 3 or 4 mid-range jumpers I think he hit. I know for sure one of them was a step back. And here, saying that out loud doesn't even sound real. But yes, Giannis hit step back jumpers in an NBA game.
Um,
Now, my second takeaway is that I think this game proved that the Bucks, at the very least on the defensive end, have what it takes to repeat, and they have a very legitimate chance of doing so because they did this without their best perimeter defender in Drew Holiday.
mhm.
So when they get him back, I don't know who's scoring on this team. I really don't know, except the 3-headed monster in Brooklyn.
So I completely agree with you what you said about defense. Their defense.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, when it comes down to offense, I think it comes down to what me and you have discussed every year for this team.
Mm-hmm.
Whether Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday are gonna stay consistent into the playoffs.
Yeah. And
Because
honestly, really, you don't even need them to stay consistent. You just need one of them to be good if the other one is going to be bad. And I think that'll be enough because Giannis is always going to do what Giannis does.
mhm.
If the rest of the spot up shooters can make their shots, that's fine. The real key factor in this team's success is, are Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton both terrible in the same game? Or is at least one of them doing good? Because if one of them can do good, it can completely negate the fact that the other one is playing terribly.
I 100% agree with you. I even think that if both of them were doing bad, Giannis could pull something crazy out and still carry the team to a win.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm just saying more is if you wanted to be as certain as possible that this team will go all the way, those two guys need to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Because they didn't need to take as much pressure off of Giannis to not try to go play hero ball, even though I probably, if anyone in the whole NBA had to play hero ball, it's probably him. If I wanted him to play hero ball, then I would choose him.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of want to flip this on the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
And Steph Curry is still in that slump.
Yeah, it's really getting concerning at this point. Now, granted, we should point out that pretty much nobody on the Warriors except Juan Toscano Anderson and Andrew Wiggins had a good game.
Mm-hmm.
So this definitely was primarily due to the Bucks just being elite defensively. But yeah, Steph still was a lot worse than he should have been. And it really begs the question of when, if at all, will he go back to consistently being that threat from anywhere on the court that he's usually been the past few years?
Yeah. Thompson's looked good though. Like even though he struggled this game.
Mm-hmm. And then the previous 2 games, yeah, he was fine for the most part. Definitely had some issues there, but it was just rustiness and not necessarily him being less than what he ever was before.
Right. His shooting, even though it's not prime Klay Thompson type shooting yet, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take him some time to get back to normal.
Yeah, it's clear that it's just because of the rustiness. It's not
Mm-hmm.
anything concerning.
The one thing that I was worried about, I think we both was his athleticism, but I
Mm-hmm.
think that's shown to be fine. So once playoff time comes around, I think he'll be normal Klay Thompson.
Mm-hmm. The only thing about his athleticism that didn't look that great was his ability to keep up with quicker people on defense. That's something that he used to be really good at, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously just due to rehab, not having that leg strength yet, and then, rustiness, the fatigue's hitting faster since he's just now ramping into NBA level play.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, his defensive ability to keep up with quicker people and run with them and change direction, it's not back yet, but it didn't look terrible. Like, he definitely still has it in him once he gets those reps in, gets that leg strength back, and yeah, he'll be back to normal Klay.
Yeah, because when he put who was it on a poster first game back?
Dang, I can't remember. Was it Markkinen? No.
No, it was the Cavs though.
Yeah, it was the Cavs. That was the first game. I know it was one of their bigger defenders for sure.
I might be able to find it. Was it?
I'm trying to see because if Mobley played, I think it might have been him. Okay,
Was
well,
it?
Mobley played, so I think it was him.
I thought it was Jared Allen.
Ooh. Okay, let's just look this up to be sure.
Okay. I looked up Klay poster and it brought me up like actual posters.
Oh, okay. Based on this thumbnail I'm seeing, yeah, it's looking like it was Markkinen and dang, who is that? Is that? I think that might be that. Ah, yeah, that's that one guy. Dang, I don't remember his name. I really don't. Uh,
Oh man, you know you haven't made it in the NBA when you get
yeah,
called
Lamar Stevens. Yeah,
that one guy.
yeah, Lamar Stevens and Lowry Markkinen is who it was.
um, yeah, but that dunk there was kind of to me what was like, even though his athleticism might not be at like 100% right now, it's still gonna be good enough around that time because of what he can already do now.
Mm,
It just has to continue to grow throughout the rest of the season, which, as long as he stays healthy, it will.
yeah, but the fact that Klay is looking really good in his return, it really makes me think about something. Has, for one, rehabilitation practices and medical technology advanced far enough to where Achilles tears are no longer career ending injuries or career ruining injuries. Because between Kevin Durant and now Klay again, if he can stay healthy, that's two major people coming off of that injury with, for the most part, no beats missed.
Mm-hmm. So, actually, since you brought that point up, I want to bring up something else.
Mm-hmm.
You said that if medicine has advanced so far that ACL tears and um, Achilles tears are no longer major.
Mm-hmm.
So then why has Zion been out for so long if his injuries are nowhere near the same as an Achilles tear or ACL tear?
You see, the difference is Klay Thompson same height, probably 100 pounds lighter. Kevin
Mm-hmm.
Durant is 6, 7 inches taller, somewhere around there. And again, probably 100 pounds lighter. Whereas Zion is 6'6", I want to say, 6'7" on a good day with shoes. And he's, first of all, at his healthiest, he was 280.
Mm-hmm.
So already you're looking concerning there with his explosion and how he plays. Yeah, you're not looking good there. But then for him to clearly and blatantly put on more weight while he's rehabbing, yeah, that it's clear that the problem is bigger than the injury itself. And it's just the fact that he's just never been in a proper shape for his body to handle his explosive type of play.
I'm trying not to laugh over here because I thought you were going for a pun
Uh,
when you said bigger.
oh,
But I think it goes back to what we discussed also about him skipping rehab
mm-hmm.
because I feel that if, like you said, medicine has come this far to make those injuries minor, he should have already been on the court already.
Yeah. And
There's so
I don't want
many.
to say that the injuries are minor because they're still pretty severe injuries in the sense that we're still looking at over a year of rehab and after surgery and all of that. Yeah, like it's still a long recovery process. It's
Yeah,
just it's not gonna end a career anymore, or it's not gonna 100% make a player less than what they were.
right. Okay, I get you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but still, I feel like Zion should have been on the court already.
Oh
There's
yeah. Oh,
something that's. I think there's something other than his weight that's holding him back.
maybe maybe he just doesn't want to play for the Pelicans. Maybe that's what it is.
That's very likely. I think.
Mm-hmm. Because if I remember correctly, a report came out saying that he was handling his rehab in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so for him to be handling his rehab very far away from New Orleans, yeah, that could be concerning for his future in New Orleans.
It's going to be another Anthony Davis situation.
Oh yeah. Oh, only difference is it's not going to take 7 years for it to happen.
Yeah, this is his what, third year in the league now?
Yep. His third year, and he hasn't even played a game yet.
All right, well, are you ready to move on to the next topic, which is the Charlotte Hornets?
Yeah.
All right, well, they're heating up at the moment. Right now, they are on a 4-game winning streak and 7-10, or 7-3, excuse me, in their last 10.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think has kind of put them on this, this hot streak right now?
Well, I want to say for one, it's obvious that this hot streak just got started because they had a nice win to begin this streak. Since they had an easy game against the Pistons, they blew them out by just about 30 points. So that's a good morale boosting win to get, especially for a team that's not necessarily a young team, but has a lot of young guys on it. So that's a good way to get a win streak started. Just an absolute demolition of another team.
Mm-hmm.
So then they took that momentum, they carried it into a game against the Bucks, who, for one, were coming off a back-to-back after playing the Nets right before. And then they were without Drew Holiday. So this was a good time, if any, for the Hornets to take a game from this massive contender, the reigning champions, and they seized the opportunity. Terry Rozier, Miles Bridges, they did what needed to be done. They got a win there, and then they ended up playing the Bucks again. I thought for sure that the Bucks were going to take this one, but no, the Hornets again were not playing, and they took that win, and it doesn't seem to end because they took out the 76ers after that. And at what point does this become more than just a hot streak?
I think one of the biggest things to look at is how they were able to survive against two of the game's best big men, in Giannis and Embiid, knowing that this team lacks not only in defense but a defensive center, like really bad. I think that just shows that even though they might not have that defensive, firepower, their offense at times during games may be able to push them over the limit because three of their starters had 20 plus, and LaMelo, even though he only had 13, had 7 rebounds, 8 assists. This is the 76ers game. So, LaMelo could do more than just score. He was inefficient this game too, though, by the way.
But if you look at it, though, the 76ers game and the first Bucks game are both games where they held their opponent under 100 points, which is saying a lot in the modern NBA. Or actually, no, it was the second Bucks game where they held them under 100. So that's actually back-to-back games of holding their opponent under 100 points.
I feel like the Hornets, they may not be one piece away, but maybe like 2 or 3 pieces away from being an actual contender.
Yeah, I think if they could get a better big, and they're honestly, they might be one piece away. If Kelly Oubre can stay healthy, I think a very good big man is all that they really need.
So you think a lineup of LaMelo, Rozier, a big, a good defensive big man, Bridges and Hayward, and then I'm guessing Oubre coming off the bench could compete.
I think they could be, without a doubt, at least a 6 seed consistently, with maybe some room for them to jump up to 4 at best. Yeah, I don't necessarily think that this team will have what it takes with 1 or 2 pieces to break into championship range. Just because, first of all, I don't think there's anybody that they could viably get to push them into championship range with just 2 pieces.
Yeah.
But I think with the way this team is constructed now, and you just add one really good big man, that could be a huge difference for them and could push them into, at the very least, a high playoff threat.
I think Gordon Hayward's stability, staying healthy this year, has been one of the big things for them. Because he's already played 41 games, and last year he only played 44, so he's already about to pass, what he played last year. And he's playing well. He's shooting averaging 17 on pretty decent splits, 47% from field goal, and then 39 from
47, 39, 86. Yeah, that's really good, actually.
And then Bridges also having an amazing start to the season and keeping it consistent for the most part.
Yeah, he's definitely taken a dip because he was up near 40% shooter. Actually, I think he might have been above 40% shooting in that run to start the year, but now he's sunken all the way down to just about 32.
Yeah.
So that was a noticeable drop off. But still, the fact that his field goal percentage is also at about 47, like Hayward's, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all expected him to kind of slow down. That
Mm-hmm.
was a pretty, I wouldn't say impossible start to continue, like to
Maintain.
maintain, yeah. But at the same time, LaMelo was gonna get hot at one point, take shots away. So was Hayward.
Mm-hmm.
So was probably Rozier. You know, all these guys are gonna need their own turn.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he's still been able to somewhat stay consistent throughout the year, like reminiscing what he did at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
has been another key factor for this team.
Yeah, I think it for sure. I think it was impossible for him to maintain that run throughout a whole year. That's like at that point we're putting him in the debate for a top 15 player in the league, top 20 player, the way he was playing. So I don't think you could jump from somebody who was barely in the top 100, if at all, to a top 20 player just in the snap of a finger like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think for sure what he's done, it's about where I would have expected him to stay realistically. And it's still a highly respectable jump for him to make from one year to another.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it still leaves plenty of room for him to grow next year.
Do you think that he's probably going to win Most Improved this year?
Ooh, you see, I don't really know who else is in the most improved race. Because I don't know anybody off the top of my head who's really taken the leap except Darius Garland, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, at that point, oh, could it be Desmond Bain, maybe?
Desmond Bain would probably be up there too. I'm trying to look at the candidates right now.
Ooh,
John Morant's up there.
that's interesting.
Jordan Poole,
Oh, okay.
Tyler Hero. I think I don't know how old this is. DeJounte Murray. This is from November 9th though, so this is pretty old.
Mm-hmm.
But let me see who else. Anunoby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those Miles Bridges was second on this list, but
Okay.
trying to find a more recent.
You see, I just want to say now, out of that bunch, DeJounte Murray for sure is not in contention. Because if you really look at it, his points are only up nearly exactly 3 points. The rest of his stats, okay, I mean, he went up 1 in rebounds and he made about a 4-point jump in assists, or a 4-assist jump in assists. But then his efficiency, it's more down than up compared to last year. So I'm not really sure that he's anywhere in the most improved race.
Yeah. So I found a website that's basically the betting odds. So this updates, I think, like every 2 days or so. This is odds as of January 12th.
Okay.
The top 5 are John Morant, Miles Bridges, DeJounte Murray, Darius Garland, and Desmond Bain. But one who I think is really sneaky is Jared Allen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I completely forgot about the jump that he's made.
Mm-hmm. Especially with the team doing as good as it is, I think that he could probably go up there also, like top 5.
But here's my question though. Because do you really give him most improved when you also have Darius Garland? I guess you could say the same applies to Darius Garland winning. Because if you have 2 guys that are in the race for it, then you kind of beg the question, is it just because the 2 of these guys are synergizing off of each other less than actual self-improvement?
Okay, so I know I just made a statement about how the team's doing,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to ask you a question now. Does the most improved award almost have the same, how could I put this? So like for the MVP award, it not only takes into account how the player's doing, but how the team is doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does the most improved award only go on how the player's doing, but not how the team's doing, I guess you could say?
I would say that the award for sure is more heavily skewed towards the individual player rather than
Mhm.
the team. Whereas with MVP, it's kind of an even split. It's an even split in the sense that one, who else on your team is really good is going to affect your chances of winning. Like obviously, if you have somebody else who's super high level, consistent player, almost or actually in the MVP race themselves, then that's gonna hurt your chances. And then also, if you don't have all of that, but your team has a lower record, then that's gonna hurt your chances too.
Mhm.
Whereas most improved, I think it's very slight in terms of how much team plays into it. But then again, I can't think of any recent case where we've had two guys on the same team who were legitimately in the running.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Hmm. That's hard because most improved is like probably one of the most not talked about awards, I guess you could say, other than like coach of the year or executive of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a 50-50 split for the MVP award and then more based on actual player for the most improved award.
Mm-hmm.
But if if it takes into account how the like how can I put this? If it doesn't take into account how the team is doing, are you picking Garland or Allen?
I think I'm gonna go Garland just because one, his efficiency improvement.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I personally like to respect a lot in a player. And then also his ability to get other players involved has improved a little bit. And I think that alone is a real reason why Jared Allen has improved so much because
Mm-hmm.
Darius Garland himself has improved in his ability to properly get people involved in the right spots.
Okay. I'm gonna go Garland too, but I really want to give props to Jared Allen because he's found a way to do what he does while also playing next to Markkinen and
Mobley.
Mobley and Kevin Love,
Mm-hmm.
which at the time at the beginning of the season we both thought this was going to be a terrible fit,
Oh yeah. Oh, oh, for sure.
but somehow they've been able to make it work. So I just want to give my props to him.
You know, but I think that it like the way they've made it work is
Mm-hmm.
because Allen is the only one out of that group who's not expected to hit threes.
Okay.
Yeah. Like even though Mobley's not really a good shooter yet, that's something that's expected to develop out of him.
Right.
So you have that Kevin Love, after playing with LeBron, he's pretty much been forced to turn into a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Markkinen, he's always been known for being a shooting big.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I think that's part of the reason why Jared Allen has been able to carve out his role here so well. Because those other bigs aren't expected to be down low protecting the rim and like banging in the post, getting their hook shots like he is.
Yeah, I get you. um Okay, I personally don't have anything else to say on the topic. Is there anything else that you want to talk about the Hornets?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our last topic for the episode, which was, I guess, trade rumors or what's about to happen. I guess with trades. What specifically did you want to talk about there?
Uh, it was less about any rumored trade specifically or any trade that has actually happened because, as most of us know, the only real trades have been the now voided Bowl to the Pistons trade and the Cam Reddish to the Knicks trade. So
Mm-hmm.
nothing really important has happened yet. But I more so wanted to bring up this topic to pose the question: what team or teams do you think are most pressured to make a trade before the deadline?
Okay. So I'll try to give two for each.
Mm-hmm.
For the most pressured to make a trade, I think one of them definitely has to be the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one would be, hmm, I'm going to say, does it have to be a contender or no?
It doesn't even have to be a contender.
Okay. I'm going to say the Knicks.
Okay.
I think they're not probably being looked at for trade wise like that much,
Mm-hmm.
but I definitely think that they're probably like internally front office wise, they're probably thinking about trying to do something to push the team back into contention because I don't see them right now as a real contender.
Well, considering that they're not even in the play-in right now, I think that's a fair assessment to make.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying like based off of how they were expected to be last year
Mm-hmm.
and to what I thought they were going to be this year, they're nowhere near what my expectation was for them.
Oh, yeah.
They're at
Okay.
500 and I don't see them improving into the what do you call it? Um I guess past the All-Star break.
Wow. Before we continue, I just want to make a slight note. Can we
Okay.
acknowledge the improvement of the Eastern Conference over the West? Because 500 is keeping the Knicks out of the play-in,
Mm.
whereas 500 has the Lakers at the top of the play-in. And the Trailblazers are at the 10th seed, barely in the play-in, at a 39 win percentage. So
As it sucks that these are the years that we have to be bad. If the Western Conference couldn't be this weak whenever we were good.
right.
Uh okay, so I guess I don't really even have to give my two that aren't pressured. That wouldn't make any sense for the trade
Mm-hmm.
thing. But yeah, I'm gonna go Knicks and Lakers. Definitely the Lakers.
Okay. You see, in an effort to not copy or repeat anything you said, I'm not
Uh-huh.
gonna pick the same two because I would have said the Lakers, but since you said them, I'm gonna move and I'm gonna make another choice where I'm going to say for the West, I think the Kings need to make a trade. They
Mm.
really need to figure out what they're gonna do because they've been trying to rebuild for years now. They have the longest playoff drought of any team in the league at this point now that the Suns have made the finals.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have the longest playoff drought in the league right now. And it doesn't look like any of this young core that they have right now is really going to push them into playoff contention.
I feel bad for the Kings fans
Yeah. Oh, I was just about to say, I don't feel bad for the front office, but I feel very bad for their fans.
because that fan base has deserved to at least see some kind of good basketball.
Mm-hmm.
But with the way they're handling everything, at the moment, the whole world, the whole NBA world knows that they should be rebuilding,
Mm-hmm.
but their roster is giving like mixed signals.
Mm-hmm.
With Buddy Hield still there, they need to trade Buddy Hield. They need to trade the big man. I can't think of his name right
Marvin
now.
Bagley.
No, the other guy,
Oh, Rashawn Holmes.
Rashawn Holmes, because
Mm-hmm.
he's older. Marvin Bagley, it's up to them whether they want to still try to take the chance on him or not.
Oh no, they definitely need to move him because he doesn't want to be there and they don't want to play him. So it's like a Ben Simmons situation, but mutual.
Okay, well, even if the Kings did, like, if Marvin Bagley didn't want to be there, but the Kings still wanted him,
Mm-hmm.
he has no leverage at all to say that he wants to be traded. He's done nothing to prove that he has any like real potential. At this point, he's more of a project, I think. Uh Harrison Barnes needs to go. They need to fully reset the whole team.
Mm-hmm.
De'Aaron Fox, I've even heard of being in trade rumors.
Mm-hmm.
That's I'm 50-50 on, but because you have Tyrese there,
Mm-hmm.
who I think could still play the same role as Fox as point guard. But I don't know. I just feel so bad for those fans because they have been through it for the last 10 plus years.
Oh yeah, no. It has been a long ride being a Kings fan, and I feel very sorry for any Kings fans out there because you
Because
have a team that's for years had an incompetent front office no matter how many changes they've made. They've had incompetent coaching staffs and they've just had a complete jumble and mystery of a roster pretty much every season. So yeah, I think the Kings that they need to figure out what they're gonna do. Who needs to move? Who needs to stay? What I don't know how they're gonna go about doing it. I don't personally care how they're gonna go about doing it, but they need to do it, and they need to do it now.
yeah, if I had to go like what we're going through for another 10 years, I might not like love basketball no more.
Oh, oh, brother, if if I was a Kings fan, I wouldn't be a basketball fan. That was just that's how that would be for me personally. But hey, more power to all you Kings fans out there who find a way to stick through and stay true to the game.
I mean, they have no other sports team, so I don't think they have a choice.
Hey man, you never know. So they could bandwagon to some
The
team.
Trailblazers.
I mean, no.
Well, I mean,
The
they're the
team.
closest. They're like the closest team next to them.
If I'm a Kings fan and I'm picking the closest, not the close, but I'm picking another NBA team and it's some team close, I'm not picking the Trailblazers. I'm picking the Lakers or Warriors. What do you mean?
I mean, like literally the closest to them. That's why.
You see, no man.
Obviously,
I,
if you're going with more vicinity area, you want to go with the Lakers or the Warriors.
yeah, no. I mean, it kind of defeats the purpose of not rooting for your home team if you're just gonna pick the next closest team. Like that's like if we weren't Rockets fans and we were like, let's cheer for the Spurs or the Mavericks. I think San Antonio's closer. So yeah,
Yes, I
so
thought
yeah,
it was close.
so yeah, let's cheer for the Spurs instead. It's like, okay, I mean, while that you can do that, I guess it's kind of defeat the whole purpose. You have free reign to choose any team.
um. Okay, we're almost coming up on the hour mark. So, do you want to wrap things up, or do you want to kind of keep going?
I just real quick, let me go ahead and throw out my team for the East that I think needs to make a trade.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's the team everybody's been talking about. since the beginning of the year. 76ers need to get this Ben Simmons situation resolved.
Mm-hmm.
He clearly does not want to come back. They keep trying to hold out, and he's not coming back, so they just need to hurry up and think of something to get him out of there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be harder than it probably is, like most people think, because we've both discussed how Daryl Morey is stubborn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, is there anything else I guess you want to talk about or say before we wrap things up?
Nope.
All right, well, that's going to be the end of the episode. If you like the episode, go ahead and like and subscribe, and then comment down below what you want to hear us talk about or anything, your thoughts, ideas about topics we discussed. Isaiah, last comments?
Don't forget, share the podcast as many people as you can. It helps us out, and it'll help us help you. It'll help us provide you a better podcast. So please do what you can to help us grow. And don't forget, please provide any input that you want to, either in the comments or by checking out the Instagram at All Ball Podcast YT.
All right, we'll catch you on the next episode.